Hi, everybody. Dave Clark at SpecCheck.net. Today, we're going to talk about fuse neutrals. And I had a request for that also. And fuse neutrals were around for a short time. And I believe in 1920 or so, they were banned. So they were around before that. So you're always going to see these, almost always going to see these with knob and tube, much older wiring that we recommend is replaced anyway. But anyway, so let's talk about it. You see an old fuse panel, and I know what a lot of you are saying, and I agree with what I'm about to say. What you're thinking is that shouldn't you see an old fuse panel, shouldn't you just recommend it's replaced, the inspection's over? Understood. And you know, a lot of electricians will tell you that fuses are actually safe or safer than breakers. If they're wired properly, they can't fail. A breaker could fail, and we've seen that throughout our home inspection career. But a fuse normally doesn't fail, unless it's a human error or it's bypassed or something like that. So I've seen newer fuse panels from master electricians that say they would never trust circuit breakers. I get that. So we kind of have this blanket as home inspectors that if we see fuses, we recommend they're upgraded. And I think that's fine. I'm not going to sit here and tell you, oh no, don't do that, But and you also take a look at some insurance companies that won't insure the house if it has fuses. I've run into that multiple times, and they give them a time frame to upgrade that. It's not always the case, but it can be the case. So let me first show you, share my screen here. Let me show you what a fuse neutral looks like. Grab it right here, and here we go. So how do you know it's a fuse neutral? Well, usually the fuses are this way, maybe in a horizontal fashion. Not always. Sometimes they're straight up and down like this. These are right next to each other. Really, the easy way to tell, first of all, we know it's more than likely going to be knob and tube. Let me get a nice color here. So obviously this is all knob and tube wiring, and a lot of shared neutrals, but we're looking for that neutral, and you could see it here. I know pictures, maybe make it a little bit bigger here for you. And you could see there's a neutral coming in, there's a neutral coming in. It's like there's a mishmash here because, we've got some splices going on with some newer non-metallic and obviously older. And you could see an old, look at another white. Okay, so these are it's a few, they're fuse neutral. So what does that mean? That means that the hot and the neutral side are both protected, and I put that in italics. But the issue is that if the hot, or let me rephrase that, if the neutral breaker trip or the neutral fuse trips, okay, so let's go, we'll use this scenario. So this one trips and it's no longer energized. Okay, we're not going to have power to whatever that is. We'll just say a light. So the light goes out, and you assume that there's no power to it. The problem is there is still power to it because it's still being supplied by the hot side. Both aren't interrupted. In order for that circuit to be completely safe or completely gone out, both sides have to be blown in this case, or tripped. So, but that's not that. That may not happen. So you can get electrocuted, right? Get shocked, get electrocuted, and it's unsafe. So we're always going to tell our client to replace these anyway. And I know what you're saying, but if you see a panel like this, the inspection is basically over, right? You're saying upgrade that main service because this is no longer acceptable. And let me just tell you, I agree with you. I just want to show you. I had a couple of people ask me about that. So and just to kind of summarize it, put this a little together for you. So why are fuse neutrals dangerous? A single fuse provides protection for neutral to phase and phase to ground faults. Okay, so that's what the single does. So it interrupts the whole circuit. So there's no power anymore to that circuit. A fuse on the neutral conductor provides protection for neutral to phase faults only, but leaves that circuit still getting power, still getting some type of the hot side is still supplying it. So if there's a short to ground, the current will bypass the neutral and not blow the fuse, and that's the problem. Okay, so these were used for a very short time, and then they were outlawed. The NEC came out, and I'm talking back in the 20s. is when they stopped using them, and they were only used for a very short time because I think they realized, that there was an issue with them. So again, reporting this is pretty simple. Let me grab our report. Obviously, we're going to go to the electrical section and the service supply main. What is it? Overhead. A meter could be wherever. Service conductor, probably in this case, is going to be copper clad, or even copper, depending on how old it is. Obviously, it's going to be a much older service. Maybe the cable insulation is beginning to fray. But if we go to main service disconnect, in this case, we're probably going to have just a fuse, right? And it's going to be right at the meter. Probably that's what it's going to be, just a fuse. Then we're going to come over to service panels. Okay, so service size, again, 30 amp, 120 volts, more than likely. That's all you're going to get here. And again, fuses is what we would do that. We'll unclick that. It's our port we've been playing with. Okay, and sub panels, probably not going to have them, or we may have them actually. So we're not going to say conditions appear satisfactory. We're not going to go anywhere here. We're going to go all the way down to our, and again, we were working on this, and actually we checked this last time, so we'll check it again. So in this case, unsatisfactory grounding, I'm going to note that too, because there's no ground in knob and tube wiring. Unsatisfactory connections and improper wiring. And again, we were playing with this one before, so we're going to take that right out of there. Okay. And then we're going to come down to here, and the panel should be updated. We've seen that before. And we're going to take this out. And the service panel noted is outdated by today's standards and electrical demands. And what was in there is recommend the fused neutral panel is replaced, and the service updated. Done. That's it. And basically, the inspection is over, and wiring, we could put down whatever wiring was in there. Conductor installation, in this case, it's going to be cloth, so older stuff, And then what I would also note is, back in wiring, let me head back there for a second. 240 volts, they're not going to be there. But I just want to make a note of, let me get there. Conductor insulation. There we go. Right there, I want to put knob and tube, cloth and knob and tube. So knob and tube wiring is obsolete, like it to be brittle, it's not grounded. Recommend licensed electrician remove the knob and tube wiring and update with modern approved wire cable. So simple as that. The inspection took us, documenting took us a couple of minutes. We're saying there's knob and tube. We're saying that it's fuse neutral. And we're also saying that we want the wiring updated. We want the panel updated, because the fuse neutral can be, or that older panel could be dangerous. I don't think we need to get into too much with the client as far as explaining what fuse neutrals are. I mean, you would note it in the report, so an electrician would look at that and say, yeah, we need to do that sooner rather than later. I think that's the difference. If you have older fuses and they're safe and they're wired properly, and there's not a fire hazard or an electrocution hazard, that's different than these, because these can cause an immediate problem. So I think we're putting it in the column that is our red column that tells them that needs immediate action. I think that's a good way to go. Also, I would do this too. I'd go to our attachment. I would put add attachments. We have a library of attachments. In this case, I would go to electric, and maybe we want a little more. We see we have all kinds of things, arc fault, GFIs, how they work. But I think I would click on knob and tube, and I would add that to our report. And you see that's going to be added. And we could either do full text or link, whatever you want. The full text is going to make the report a little bigger, but it's there. Or the link will just give them a link to our database, and then they can just view it live there. That'll tell them all about knob and tube and why it probably should be replaced. So I hope this helped you out. I know that it may be more information than a lot of home inspectors care to have or care to give to their clients on fuse neutral, but I think it's just a good idea to be able to identify them. I've gotten pictures from other inspectors that says, what's this? Why is there neutrals, or why are there fuses on both sides and wires coming in on both ends? And that's the reason. So I hope you enjoyed this, and it gave you a little clarity on fuse neutrals. Please hit the subscribe button, and you'll be able to get these videos first before anybody else gets them as they come out. You can also go to homeinspectortrainingonline.com, and there'll be some great links in there to other videos and some great white papers that we have. And that's about it. So have a great day, and see you next time.